So here we are, guys. We're starting up at the top left-hand side of the map. On top of the blue Protoss player from Team Liquid, he is MaNa.
And spawning over on the other side, as our red Protoss, it is ShaDown. You know, whenever I see that there isn't a probe immediately moving out on the map in a PvP, I'm always a bit like, damn, I want to see a cannon rush, you know? But yeah, they're both opting for the very, very standard opening here. Like, I don't see... Oh, I mean, this might be a little... Okay, it's just a very early scout. I was going to say, there's going to be like 2 gateways on top of the ramps. It's very hard to go for like these fast expansion builds unless you naturally have a ramp up to the natural. Like, obviously, Vision giving you a little bit of something there for defensive purposes, but whenever it's a flat ground expansion like this, it's ridiculously hard to take an expansion very, very early on. And both of them, they have the probes out on the map and both heading down to the bottom.
Yeah, ShaDown also very clearly going to go for the proxy, but it's a proxy right next to his main base in a sense with that pylon. So he's definitely not committing too hard to it. It's a very, very awkward and difficult position to scout, but you know what? Finding the probe does kind of cut down on some of the areas where it could be. You kind of think like, okay, if your probe's down over here, you're either about to throw down that pylon, but you know, should have already been made, or it's somewhere on this side of the map. It's not on the opposite side. MaNa actually does manage to find that pylon, sees there's nothing there, and that's probably going to be a pretty decent sigh of relief for now, knowing that there's not a big proxy coming his way.
So awkward. Like this matchup it's all about information, like denying and gaining information. Like ShaDown, he sees that probe at the bottom and he sees it come from the bottom as well. So he's like, oh, you had a proxy pylon as well, right? And it's like, so he's been searching like madly down there in the bottom, but you know, seen absolutely nothing. So he's already a bit like, oh, well, what the hell? What's going on? Where's this pylon? Searching absolutely everywhere. And it's in the main base of MaNa. So you could definitely say that MaNa is winning very slightly when it comes to the mind games. He's also going for 3 and 4 adepts here, which is kind of nuts. Also getting the Stargate, like the tech for ShaDown hasn't been started yet.
Yeah. We'll wait to see what ShaDown is actually going to be throwing down, because obviously he's going to go for the Nexus first. He's using a lot of that early gas into those sentries, so you can eventually get hallucinating Phoenix Scouts and everything, but definitely going to need a couple extra units to help defend against the Oracle that's going to be coming out. We'll see when he even notices that, because, yeah, if you're going to go for the natural, you do want to have 2 Stalkers at each base, so eventually he's going to need to get up a couple more Stalkers to appropriately deal with Oracle diving into either one of those bases, especially with a bunch of adepts now making their way across the map.
Yeah, the order in which ShaDown's made his units, so like the double Stalker into double Sentry and then the double Adept, very, very unusual. But I guess the Adepts, like what's better against Adepts for dealing damage? It might be just Adepts, but here, yeah, MaNa does get the scout off, gets to see that there is a natural going up and stuff. Oh, now he's flying the Oracle in, but I think it got scouted. Oh, but did it? These are 2 vulnerable sentries.
Oh, yeah. You know, I do think that you're right. The Adepts did walk over it, but maybe I think that the rest of the units, the Adepts from above, distracted him, so he didn't quite notice the Oracle. Regardless, losing the sentries, really, really big deal over there, because that is going to cut down on hallucinating Phoenix scouting, and he's going to have to rely a little bit on the Adepts now, but the Adepts get a hard block from making their way into the main base and end up getting recalled.
Yeah, that was definitely a mistake by ShaDown. Oh my goodness. Okay, MaNa's just having his wicked way with ShaDown here. The Oracle is still alive, obviously. These Adepts sneak into the main base, and ShaDown taking a lot of economic damage here.
Oh my god, I love that. The Oracle dives back in, even snags a kill or 2, and makes its way out of there from that pinned in position in the corner. This is an amazing start for MaNa. 32 workers to 26. MaNa's going to be feeling really, really good about this opening.
Yeah, and the thing is, his expo is later, but now his economy's better. His Twilight Council has already started. It's already got Blink on the way. ShaDown, he didn't go for the Stargate tech, and his Twilight tech significantly later too. This is definitely a good position for MaNa, but he has to remember there are 2 Adepts on the map. Even though he shut them down once, they can always try and do stuff like this.
Yeah, he's going to get that shield battery up. There's the body block. So MaNa staying on point. He knows PvP is a very unforgiving matchup. If you start making mistakes, you can be really far ahead, and then 2, like you said, 2 Adepts or 4 Adepts make their way into one of your bases, and suddenly you're down about 12 workers in the matter of, 10 seconds. But Dark Shrine's also going to be on the way, so that's going to be ShaDown's way to try and come back in this game, because these Adepts are not going to be it.
Like, MaNa's playing really well. That was beautiful micro with the Stalkers, just body blocking those Adepts as well. There is a Dark Shrine on the way for ShaDown, but we can definitely... Oh, did it get... No, okay. That was ShaDown's probe moving away. I was like, oh, is that MaNa's probe leaving from the crime scene there? But... I'm very much enjoying MaNa's position. Does he see that probe? No, I think he just missed it. That would have been a big tell, but scouting around the map as diligently as he is, I think he's going to find this Dark Shrine.
Yeah, it's actually so funny how close he came to actually seeing the probe, but it's all right because he's now going to actually see, like you said, the Dark Shrine right before him finishes, and he has already made an observer. So MaNa is going to be ultra prepared for this. Even actually throws on the... I actually like that because he's just going to see, all right, do you decide to cancel this? Now you have to keep the Oracle there anymore.
That is true, but I mean, okay, yeah, fair enough. It could be like, now we can run his Oracle away, but that was so unnecessary.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, thirds on the way for both of them. ShaDown's here, definitely under fire. He's less Stalkers on the field. Does he warp in like DTs now? I mean, he's probably going to get this third cancelled. In fact, he's going to go for the fight. He does have Guardian Shield available, but he has significantly less Stalkers here.
Oh, look at that control from MaNa, keeping these Stalkers alive for such a long time. Snags one of the sentries, might be able to snag the other one, but Guardian Shield's already gone and the energy is out anyways, so it goes down. That Nex is still so low on hit points now, and yeah, you have to cancel that. There's no way that's going to get up.
In every way, shape, and form, this game has just gone from bad to worse for ShaDown. Like the initial Adepts not cancelling the Shade in at the start and having to recall. Just build order-wise, like him letting in Adepts. MaNa's just been super on form here. If I could change my bet to like 2-0 MaNa, I would at this point. He's looking great.
What a brutal start. Gets the DT as well before he can get out of vision range for that Observer. And MaNa has total map control. ShaDown's going to try and take the third base on the low ground over here. But there's actually enough Stalkers from MaNa that this is going to be kind of a difficult base to defend.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see what ShaDown can do at this point. Like, he's got good micro, good Stalker control, but every fight that MaNa's taken is a good one for him. He's mining more, he's got his third base up, and he's not supply blocked, which is also a positive. ShaDown right now only just starting his pylons. Nice to eliminate that stasis trap, but yeah, what an uphill battle. Oh, Mr. Oracle, he's back for more.
Okay, well, MaNa was like, well, you know, I think your worker count's looking a little too healthy right now. Let me go ahead and alleviate that. I heard you got supply block recently, so I'll go ahead and free up some of that supply, and now we end up seeing even more Stalkers going to be falling. Shield battery not going to save you this time, even with the overcharge. It gets taken out, and so does ShaDown in game number 1. Oh, well.
Anyhow, to introduce these players on this map, which I will not say again, it is Liquid MaNa.
And up in the top right-hand side of the map, we have the red Protoss player. He is ShaDown.
This map is freaking massive, by the way. Like, this has got to be one of the longest maps that we've had in any sort of pool. In fact, what was the, was it Acolyte? Was that the name of the map that was also ridiculously long?
You might be right. My mind always goes to, oh God, what was it? It was like a very dark map. It had like a lot of purple on it. Spawns are bottom left and top right. Yeah, it was actually every corner. It was a long time ago, but I just remember every single PvP being like Phoenix versus Phoenix on it.
I think this was the map where I remember Rogue specifically doing like Nida Swarm Host on it, because one of the expansions was kind of like an inside natural, right? But yeah, I remember that map being ridiculously long too. And every time I see one of these maps, I'm like, no, it means my medevacs and Hellions will hit so much damn later. But in PvP, it doesn't matter, boys. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it certainly matters a lot less until like the later stages of the game, it feels like, since you got those warp-ins that usually are going to be able to get your units there pretty quickly. It's not until later on when we started worrying about like robo units and immortals and, you know, another warp prism to reinforce the one that you lost. That's when it might actually start coming into play. But for now, we do have a Stalker Sentry, the nice old middle of the road build coming out versus double Adept there for ShaDown.
Yeah, so the Stalker Sentry build, it's one of those very, as you put it, middle of the road. Like, you get the Sentry out early to get a hallucination going, so you get a good scouting going on. And it's ShaDown this game with the 2 Adepts, so a bit of a flip of the coin there. And he's also going Stargate, so a super flip of the coin. And MaNa put up this pylon just to see what pops out. If you're wondering, like, hey, why the hell did he put a pylon there, bruv? Well, just he can cancel it at any point, and he gets to see what comes out of the gateways.
Yeah, I always enjoy the Protoss players that when they see double adept, they actually just don't cancel the pylon because they're like, well, I know your adepts are moving out and you can't get a probe out to expand if it can't, but I'm just gonna go for a second pylon block, moves back in with a probe, sees and confirms the Stargate. This is actually really important information because you have to remember, MaNa back on the other side of the map also went with a Stargate. So he's gonna have an idea and say, okay, you haven't seen my Stargate yet, but I've seen yours. I should probably make a Phoenix first out of this. And that's exactly what he's going to do. And it's very important that MaNa wants to try and deny his vision of his own Stargate, because if ShaDown has an idea that MaNa also opens Stargates, then he might not just immediately dive in with the Oracle.
This is very interesting. Like, MaNa, he is the one with all the power here. He has all the knowledge about what his opponent's doing, where ShaDown, he still doesn't really have much of a clue. He sees, like, okay, there's a Stalker, there's a Sentry. Nice block off by ShaDown. That could have been really, really spicy for him. Is forced to warp in a Stalker back at home, which maybe he doesn't want to do. This is enough. This is enough sentries, and oh my goodness, that sentry used a hallucination earlier, so it didn't have the energy, and this is crucial. This is so bad for MaNa. Even the Oracle, oh, he can't deal with this damage fast enough.
Yeah, there's just too many units over here, and we end up seeing finally the Oracle's gonna go down, but 11 workers have already died, and there's still one adept killing another worker or two there. 12 workers killed. MaNa is down to 16 workers. That's 1 day saturation if you don't have your gas, guys. MaNa's trying to get in to the other side of the map and get into his opponent's main base, but ShaDown actually fully walled himself off there with a pylon. And MaNa is he's just in the ultimate counterattack mode. He's got 20 supply to work with versus 8. There's maybe an opportunity here, but there's not even a lot of workers mining at the natural, so he might actually have to try and bust into the main. That's going to be so tough to do.
It certainly is. I mean, Phoenix, they are miracle workers. There's no shield battery here, actually, for ShaDown, and he's having to pull probes, which is never what you want to be doing. These Phoenix making good short work of these units, and MaNa, honestly, he's handling this very good. The Adepts just chopped up all the probes, but there's so many Stalkers out for ShaDown, but 9 of his own probes do fall. So MaNa, he does about as good a job as you can in kind of filling out the probe count, and he's even got an Adept in the main base along with the Phoenix. I kind of like in MaNa's position again.
Yeah, I mean, he just killed as many workers as he had lost, and the worker counts are nearly evened up. I was really surprised that ShaDown, as soon as he saw that army, that he was like, you know what, I need to fight at the low ground. I need to fight at the natural. I guess the idea is you really don't want to lose the Nexus or anything there, but I kind of wonder, like, if he could have just defended his main base because he had such a significant worker advantage.
I'm unsure. Like, he went for his own forge, right, and stuff like that, which it's like, oh, do you really want a forge when you're getting kind of counterattacked? Like, he would have loved a couple of shield batteries, right? That could have stopped all that damage being done, but just unfortunate. And now he's on the counterattack again, the offensive, trying to deal with the shield battery, but he's losing quite a few Stalkers here, which he can somewhat afford to do, but it's not as if he's super far ahead in the pro count. In fact, only 3 ahead, and he's Phoenix. This is super value for money here. And no additional warp-ins on this side of the map for ShaDown.
Yeah, the one awkward thing is that the Phoenix are actually out of energy because they have been continuously fighting this entire time. They just recently got back from the other side of the map. So the Stalkers, a couple of them will manage to escape for a little bit while MaNa recuperates some of the energy, but MaNa's actually still going to be down now, 10 workers after having lost a few more right there. The only kind of catch is ShaDown did sacrifice a lot of Stalkers to get that damage done. So that actually means it's not just, your army supply is a little lower, your Phoenix defense is lower. So now MaNa can actually do that counter damage back with his Phoenix, pick up a bunch of probes. And I think the map is now big enough that maybe, especially with an Immortal out, MaNa should not be losing a whole lot more to just a 4-Stalker counterattack.
No, and MaNa's doing a good job of, like, equaling out the damage yet again, and most importantly, I guess, getting a full-on scout off for when this third is going up. So MaNa, he has the choice now. Does he play catch-up and get his own third? Or does he rely on better tech and maybe just dealing a lot of damage to ShaDown in the meantime? He's getting a lot of Immortals. He's not getting his third Nexus yet, so I do wonder how he's going to play this one.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, okay, he is going to send that probe over to the third base, and I guess it kind of makes sense. It's not like he has his own, Twilight Council getting charged or blink or anything else like that. So if it's just going to be Immortals, you probably want a decent number of them, which would slow down an actual push out for a while. So I actually like the decision to just kind of take this out to a longer stage game, abuse your Phoenix as much as possible, and just continuously dart in, pick off 1 or 2 probes, and try and safely get out of there without losing any Phoenix. Like, this is how you can play larger maps with Phoenix. Like, this is how you get ahead in PvP.
So MaNa, he hasn't taken his third Nexus yet, which is definitely... Oh, I mean, he's moving back there with the probe, but he's just making sure that he's not going to die to anything anytime soon. I'm always curious, because right now it looks like MaNa's playing a Rotterdam style right now, like a Rotty mech going on, just Immortal Phoenix. But I do wonder, what would have happened if he just... I was going to say, if he just continued making Phoenix at this point, because they've done so damn good this game thus far. Like, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, it's, Rotterdam, of course, will be the master of this, so I'll defer to his opinion on it. But I do feel like one of the big fears is that there's like this point where your opponent just gets so many Stalkers, you're lifting up your opponent's Stalkers with your Phoenix, and you're just like, well, if I don't have enough support to keep the Immortals alive, like, the Phoenix aren't actually going to kill 30 Stalkers all that quickly. They do start not really scaling quite as well in some ways. So it definitely gets weird. I know it can work. I know Rotterdam has made it work, even versus some very impressive players. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about trying to go back into Phoenix this late on now.
Oh no, I'm not on about necessarily going back into them, but if he continued from when he got up to 5, and then the number got a bit faster, because I felt that there was definitely space to do something along those lines. But MaNa, he's going for a bit of the catch-up game, but also we do see that Dark Shrine on the way, and that could, if unscouted, if not correctly responded to, that could definitely cause ShaDown quite a bit of trouble.
One of my favorite things about PvP has been is that if you go for Phoenix and you get an Observer with those Phoenix, and then you get a Dark Shrine, do you know the only target in the air that your Phoenix will hit is your opponent's Observer? They will have nothing else to attack outside of that and maybe a Warp Prism most of the time. So you will just naturally kill their detection in every single fight. It's actually one of my favorite things.
By the way, ShaDown only has 1 Observer on them. Oh wait, no, he has 2 on the map now, and 1's in the map, so he just made that. Does he get what does he actually scout here? I'm checking. Where is the Dark Shrine? It's... where is the Dark Shrine?
Oh, it's in the main base beneath the lower gas geyser.
Okay, so he did actually spot it here. So he shouldn't be getting caught with his pants down too ridiculously here, because ShaDown's definitely got himself a pretty decent lead and getting his own Dark Shrine. He's on 4 bases, got superior upgrades on the way, or at least faster along the way, and he's getting cannons as well, which are super nice for dealing with the DTs.
Yeah, and just with such a raw, large number of charge slots, I do think that unless MaNa is able to get up his Archons before ShaDown goes for some kind of big attack, I am a little bit worried for MaNa, but I think that Temple Archives just finished up. He's got plenty of gas to scare to warp and a bunch of High Templar once he gets the warp gates off cooldown. I think he should actually also be in a pretty decent spot in terms of his army composition, at least.
Yeah, like MaNa's choices right now is pretty tough, because that is a large man mode army from ShaDown that he's marching out across the map. Like, not too much you can micro about it. You can blink the Stalkers and stuff, but that's a ton of Zealots. So MaNa's, he does see it on his side of the map, and now it comes down to, does he fight near batteries, his positioning and stuff? +2 is about to kick in for MaNa as well. If he fights near shield batteries, he could be very good, actually, especially with the Archons.
Yeah, I would love if he had just... Yeah, okay, he's going to warp in a few more High Templar. I was going to say, 2 more Archons would make a world of difference in this fight. We also have a Warp Prism that was warping inside of MaNa's main base, so he's got to both push this army back and deal with the DTs in his main base. Oh, no. MaNa thought he was the only one going for this DT play. He's going to need to get Observer over here. I think he has enough Phoenix that he can lift up almost every single DT there, and that actually might help out just enough that he can also push in on the other side. But the Archons are all missing. The Charge Loss getting in on top of the Immortals. And now we end up seeing that ShaDown is trying to make this big concave happen. It seems like MaNa's got barely enough to push this back, though.
I mean, that was definitely scary for MaNa, and there are still DTs in his main base, reaping a little bit of havoc over here. Is the Warp Prism still alive as well in the main? It doesn't look like it, so that was dealt with. But MaNa, he's alive, which he is, even though he is behind this game, I do believe that he is probably the more solid player all round. So the fact that he's sticking in it and he is, like, you know, still alive, especially with this army comp of ShaDown, like, it's very low tech, low tier. MaNa's still kind of got a chance, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be inaccurate to say ShaDown's entire army is basically gateway tech. It's Zealots, Stalkers, and a Sentry, right? That is the entire army of ShaDown. And you were talking about almost like quasi-mechish style from MaNa. It's Immortals. He had the Phoenix from earlier. He's got a bunch of Archons. He's, of course, got some Zealots now to help buffer a little bit. But MaNa, even though he's down a lot in supply, he has the army that scales better. But he has to be in a good army position. He has to be able to exploit this, this army composition. But with that many Archons, I actually feel like it becomes a lot easier to take these fights, even in more wide open areas.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is a ton of Archons. He does have the ability to warp in DTs still, be it aggressively or defensively. It's a ton of Stalkers as well. This game, this is a crazy PvP. I feel like ShaDown is maybe, like, he has to do something with this huge Stalker flock, but it's pretty hard to get damage done.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the way he's actually playing this, because he says, okay, I have a larger army supply, so what can I do? I can split up my army more easily. Your army has to be more or less together, so sends a ton of the Zealots, cancels the 4th base while he takes his 5th base. His 5th base is mining and operational, up 2 bases versus MaNa. That is how you can justify the cost of a lower quality army.
Certainly. ShaDown's fighting with, like, even though he's playing super crazy right now with a ton of Zealots, he is transitioning and he's getting into, like, Disruptor tech, potentially Colossus tech as well. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was almost killing himself there. But, oh, that Disruptor shot gets a nice chunk of Stalkers there, I do believe. And MaNa, he is fighting back and his army is tech superior. In fact, he's closing in the supply here. He's taking a supply lead. This is crazy from MaNa, but ShaDown's bank, he has 3.5k minerals.
Where is it going to go, though? He is going into the double disruptors. That's fine. Adding on a bunch of Stalkers. Yeah, I can still see this working out. I really wonder if there are some, like, Sky Toss transitions and stuff you can try and go for that are really tough to deal with if your opponent's just super far ahead. I can understand being a bit resistant to doing it, though, because, definitely a period of vulnerability there. If he's just going to continue to max out on this, though, I actually feel like MaNa's army composition is not that unsuited to deal with Blink, Stalker, Disruptor. Like, this is going to turn this into yet another even-ish game.
Yeah, I'm liking MaNa's position. All of a sudden, oh, that's a Disruptor from nowhere and takes out Disruptor. Takes out quite a few Zealots with that Disruptor shot, so that was nice, but MaNa has to be so careful here because he doesn't have the bank like ShaDown does. So only 2 Disruptors available as well. Oh, it's going to be tough. Oh, nice blink from ShaDown. Takes out both the Disruptors here.
Yeah, there's no reinforcements really coming in over here from MaNa. So now with another Disruptor shot from ShaDown, taking care of the Immortals from MaNa, MaNa is going to try and right-click down the Nexus with a couple of those Archons. He finally gets in some reinforcing DTs. It doesn't look like there's maybe detection over here, so the DTs doing quite a bit of damage, going to be able to force those army units back, but MaNa taking, like you said, massive losses there. Doesn't have quite the same bank, but he did deplete quite a bit of ShaDown's. If MaNa can get up that Disruptor count yet again, he's going to have an opportunity to hold on, but it is going to be tough, Ben. This is a scary army barreling his way down to MaNa's side of the map.
Yeah, I'm not sure MaNa's going to be able to hold this off. Like, he's just started Blink, so he's gone full circle, trying to aim for, like, Disruptor Blink kind of going on, but that is such a big army by ShaDown, and I think he's got it at this point. He's going to hold off with his own Disruptors as well. Nice dodges by MaNa. Doesn't yet have Blink available, but ShaDown, it's just a case of numbers here, and he's just got more, and GG is called. ShaDown ties up the series.
That means as well. Let's start down here on the bottom right-hand side of the map. On top of the red Protoss player, he is ShaDown.
And spawning over in the top left, playing for Team Liquid, it is MaNa.
Ben, I have a personal question that has nothing to do with what you were going to say or the game. As someone who has alternating or slash differentiating casing in your name, how do you decide to do that? How do you decide what letters to capitalize, what letters not to?
What looks the coolest?
Are there metrics for this? Are there ways to measure how cool your name looks with the casing?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, like, I love how MaNa, or rather ShaDown's kind of faking that he's going for a cannon rush here, while not planning it at all. So, yeah, he's hoping for more of an overreaction by MaNa, but it's not happening. So MaNa, he definitely read this beautifully, and yeah, definitely didn't overreact at all. Not one bit, but yeah, I think it's just down to what looks the coolest, honestly. Like, certain letters, you'll capitalize it, you'll be like, oh no, you look way better little, and vice versa.
No, I like that. You know what? When you put it that way, Ben, I'm actually on board. I'm not usually one for alternating the cases. In fact, I actually demand that my entire name always be spelled with lowercase letters, but I like it. You're basically just picking the best of both worlds. It's like whatever a character looks like it'd be better with the uppercase, you just use that, or lowercase, you use that. I like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. The chaos of this early game, which was, ShaDown pretending he was cannon rushing. By the way, him doing it on this map as opposed to any other one, I think this is absolutely one of the best cannon rush maps purely because of that little space above the ramp that we're looking at right now, or to the right here, it would be of this base. It's a very, very nifty spot to cannon rush. So I like the fact that ShaDown kind of faked out that he was doing it on this map of all maps. By the way, this is the first game of the series that we're seeing double adept from both the players as opposed to just one.
Always fun. And ShaDown is going to be the one that sees the adepts first and then followed very, very quickly over there. You're going to see MaNa having scattered out, even going for that pylon block on the natural. But these adepts actually not shading out immediately. They really do want to handle this pylon that's blocking the natural. So MaNa is going to be the one that gets aggressive first. ShaDown might actually even just leave these adepts home to deal with MaNa's, actually.
Yeah, this is always interesting. It's so they're both going for the Nexus at about the same time. The main difference here when it comes down to their builds is ShaDown just managed to eke out a Stargate earlier than MaNa's eked out anything by the looks of it.
Yeah. Oh man, what timing. Right as the Adepts shade finished there for ShaDown, MaNa actually lets his Adepts in, so is going to be able to poke and prod, but he actually ends up canceling his own shade, so is not really going to be doing a whole lot, is retreating back home, has that pro ready to build the shield battery if need be, but MaNa is actually moving back across the map with his other two Adepts, so it is just going to be a little bit of a, base trade's too strong of a word for it, but it's going to be a bit of a trade here with both players trying to get their Adepts into their opponent's main.
Okay, there's a few things here. I love the fact that MaNa made a pylon to block his, because it builds faster and thus has more health. Whereas ShaDown used a shield battery, so those Adepts of MaNa do get in. That is something very, very small, but it's obviously paying off in great effect here. So ShaDown, he is actually significantly behind now after losing quite a few more probes.
No, I think that's such a good point to bring up there, Ben, because yeah, usually people build shield batteries because they take longer, and so you don't have to cancel them quite as often. And look at that, MaNa gets in the Adepts again, is going to be able to snag even more worker kills over here. And this is that worker kill count is not reflecting the earlier kills that also happened. So that's 6 kills with just these Adepts, now up to 7, and 1 Adept even going to be able to make its way out of there. MaNa nearly doubling the worker count of ShaDown, and this time, ShaDown doesn't actually have any more Adepts he's sending across the map or anything. It's basically just the Oracle now that's going to be able to try and do some damage.
Yeah, what a terrible spot for ShaDown to be in. And that's something that you don't often think about. So just for the guys that are new to watching this, people tend to block off the Adept shades, given that you can't block them off with units. You can only block them off with other shades, your own shades, or buildings. Pylons take, I think it's 18 seconds to produce, and shield batteries take something around 30. So very often people will build the shield battery, meaning that they have longer to cancel it than they would a pylon. But that was such clutch decision making by MaNa to make his own pylon instead, just because it builds so much faster, has more health, and it bought him, like, it's leapt him so far ahead this game.
Absolutely. Oh, ShaDown trying to kill off both of these adepts and did do a good job catching one of them. The other adept manages to survive and is in an awkward position where it might actually even be able to shade forward, force out yet another shield battery, or even just get a basic scout out on some of the army units that are still left back at home, confirming, okay, I killed a lot of workers, but you're not just moving across the map. I don't have to worry about throwing down a bunch of shield batteries and making sure I survive. Like, I'm in a good spot, and you're just living with it now.
Yeah, like, I mean, this PvP so far between these two guys has been crazy, though. Like, there's been so much early game action. It's not been a lot of sitting back and just doing whatever and letting your opponent do whatever, too. Like, this game, it's MaNa being a little bit ahead. ShaDown does have the fortune of having an oracle on the map and stuff, but he's behind. Like, his third base is behind. His economy is a little bit behind. And also, they're both opting for the Blink Stalker tech now, which we got to see how good MaNa was when he had a little bit of a lead. He's been scouting really well, and he gets to see that his opponent's doing pretty much the same thing as him as well.
Yeah, well, worker counts have more or less evened up. MaNa's going back into some of that worker production now, though, that he has Blink, and he's actually going to be charging across the map about, I want to say, 30 to 40 seconds before ShaDown's going to get Blink. And ShaDown is actually going to try and take the fight over here. He's trying to throw down a stasis trap that might be able to block out MaNa for a little bit, but the overwhelming numbers are in MaNa's favor. Even a Guardian Shield being added in. That stasis trap has to land, but MaNa has the detection. He is able to take it out. And now this third base, oh, there's no way it's going to be able to survive.
No, and GG is called. MaNa